Hello, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, the Likud and Yisrael Beitenu parties finally sign a coalition agreement. A major BDS supporter is helping write the Democratic Party's platform. And we give you a special look at how you can see all of Israel in just one day. I'm Denise Wood here with the latest news in Israel. After a long week of talks, the Likud and Yisrael Beitenu have signed their coalition agreement. Now Avigdor Lieberman is expected to be sworn in as the Minister of Defense next week. The agreement effectively brings Yisrael Beitenu into Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition, raising its bare majority of 61 seats to 66 seats in the Knesset. But at the signing ceremony in the Knesset, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu talked about more than just raising that number, and promised to pursue new opportunities for a peace deal with the Palestinians.
My government remains committed to pursuing peace with the Palestinians, pursuing peace with all our neighbors. My policy has not changed. We'll continue to pursue every avenue for peace while ensuring the safety and security of our citizens. I believe the developments in the regions have created new challenges for us all, but I also believe that they've created new opportunities for peace. And I intend to seize those opportunities. A broader government, a more stable government, will make it easier to do so.
Lieberman also spoke at the ceremony and dismissed those who doubt his qualifications for the position of defense minister.
My intention to provide security, and of course, all of us, we have commitment, strong commitment to the peace, to the final status agreement, to the understanding between us and our neighbors. And I hope to be also very cooperative and efficient in this direction. Thank you.
The agreement guarantees that he will receive the position, and the ceremony is expected to be held next Monday, after it passes a Knesset vote. The deal was reached between the two parties late last night, during talks that focused on Lieberman's demand for a pension reform for former immigrants from the Soviet Union, which he eventually settled in an agreement with Finance Minister Moshe Kahlon. But despite the announcement, it looks like the coalition agreement still isn't very popular with the public. The Knesset channel commissioned a recent poll, which showed that the public would prefer to have Moshe Ya'alon as the defense minister, instead of Lieberman. The poll showed that 60% prefer Ya'alon, compared to only 28% that want Lieberman. The poll also showed that 57% support Ya'alon's decision to quit politics rather than take on the foreign ministry post, while 28% say he should have taken the offer. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is lashing out at the media for ignoring basic facts in the coverage of the state comptroller's report on his travel expenses. Netanyahu claims the media is radically biased for choosing to only focus on the comptroller's comment that Netanyahu's actions while serving as finance minister between 2003 and 2005 raised fears of criminality. Netanyahu is accusing the media of ignoring basic facts in the case and says they didn't allow his spokespeople to respond to the accusations. The state comptroller's report says Netanyahu didn't properly report contributions from private donors, and accuses him of double billing both state and private bodies, having a lack of clarity in his accounting, and using of bonus points accrued by the state for his family's private use while serving as finance minister in 2005.
על אישי ציבור להימנע מהוצאות מופרזות, אף אם הן במימון חיצוני. וראוי שתיבחן האפשרות לקבוע כללים אשר יסדירו עבור שרי הממשלה את תקרות המימון החיצוני, וכך אף לגבי חברי כנסת.
The Prime Minister's office said the report indicates that a mountain was made of a molehill, and charged that the state comptroller was retroactively attempting to apply regulations on ministerial travel that were only formulated in 2008. Netanyahu denies any wrongdoing, and says that he's convinced that Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit will not find a reason to launch an investigation. You probably know that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has had a long political career in Israel, but you might not know that former Minister of Defense Moshe Arens is the man who gave Netanyahu his first job in public service. This week, Arens received an award in the Knesset for his lifetime contributions to the state of Israel. And ILTV's Steve Leibovitz sat down with Arens to talk about his move to Israel from the U.S. and how he rose to become a top Israeli leader.
Well, I think in order to succeed anywhere, especially in Israel, You simply have to have the qualities that make for success. I don't think it matters too much where you came from. If you got what it takes, if you see politics as a mission that you are trying to fulfill for the people of Israel, then you're likely to succeed.
We just had a major shake-up politically in our country with the Minister of Defense stepping down, leaving politics, a new minister.
To be exact, he was kicked out, the Minister of Defense.
Do you feel as though it was a wise move, or how would you characterize what took place politically in the last week?
I think that replacing an excellent defense minister with somebody who does not have anything like his experience or his competence in the defense field is not a wise move, and I don't need to say any more.
Do you think it will cause any harm to Israel in terms of, for example, the negotiations on military aid that's coming from the United States and even our image in the world?
I don't think that our image in the world is important, but I don't think it's the most important thing. And I suppose our relations with the United States will continue on an even keel. They're built on a very sound foundation. The question that Israelis are asking themselves, should be asking themselves, is who is the man in the Defense Department that sends their children into battle? And I think when Bogi Ya'alon was in charge, when he had that very responsible job, I think people felt confident.
You are credited by many people with having brought Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, into politics and propelling him up the ladder politically. Are you pleased with how your protege has turned out, or let's say in the last period of time?
Well, first of all, I did not bring him into politics. I appointed him to be the DCM, the deputy of the embassy in Washington, and I was ambassador. That's not politics. It may have been a political appointment, but it's not politics. And from there on, he made it on his own. He's a very smart and very talented person. And I think even if I had not made that appointment, you would have seen him in Israeli politics. He has what it takes.
So finally, I'd like to ask you this. Israel is facing enemies on its borders as we have in the past. Do you feel as though Israel today is in a safer position than when you left the defense ministry, or not as safe?
Well, Israel has certainly not only prospered, but grown and become stronger economically and militarily in the past 10, 20 years. So we've gone from strength to strength. We're in a good position.
Moshe Aarons, congratulations for your B'nai Tzion award, for all that you've done for this country as an old newcomer, a veteran newcomer from the United States. Thanks so much for being with us at ILTV.
As the U.S. elections are drawing closer, the political parties are beginning to draw up their platforms. The Democratic Party has just announced the members of its drafting committee, and it turns out several of them are critics of Israel, and one is a big supporter of the BDS movement. The Democratic National Committee announced the members of its platform drafting committee on Monday, with 15 members in total. 5 were nominated by candidate Bernie Sanders, 6 by candidate Hillary Clinton, and 4 by the chairperson of the Democratic National Committee. 3 of Sanders' 5 nominees are known critics of Israel, and the nominees are social activist Cornel West, president of the Arab American Institute James Zogby, and Representative Keith Ellison, who's the first Muslim who was ever elected to Congress. West is a prominent supporter of the BDS movement, while Zogby has strongly criticized those who try to marginalize the movement to boycott Israel. Of the 3, Ellison is the most moderate, and has called for giving more consideration to the rights of the Palestinians, but is also close to the Jewish community in his state. The nominees were announced just a day after reports emerged that Sanders wants to put more focus on Palestinian rights in the Democratic National Platform. On the other hand, 2 of Hillary Clinton's picks have strong ties to Israel, including former Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman, who has close ties to the Jewish community in her home state, but was a lead negotiator in the Iran deal, along with President of the Center for American Progress Nira Tanden, who has been a leader in trying to establish dialogue between the American progressive community and the Israeli government. In the age of modern technology, cameras are becoming more and more impressive. Apps like Instagram and Snapchat have turned photo sharing into a work of art, and the quality of photos is constantly improving. But the human eye can only see so many colors, which limits the depth of the photos. Rami Feig is the CEO of Spectral, which is an Israeli company that's working to create a camera that creates different color wavelengths. It takes photos to a whole different level. He's here to tell us more. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
So first of all, what does Spectral do?
Spectral is leading the transition from human vision to computer vision. Many years ago, till up to date, cellular phones are taking images using the cell phone camera in order to snap the moment, to seize the moment for the future. In the future, the cell phone camera will be used to sense the environment. Instead of seeing, the camera will be used for sensing. We'll be able to take an image of our surrounding and to see whether the food that we are eating is healthy for us, whether the salad contains peanuts, or if there's pollution in the air, or are the water pure for drinking. That would be the future, and that is the transition from seeing to sensing.
Wow, so this isn't only beyond what a camera sees, it's beyond what a human sees also, correct?
Right. The human can see only a few colors, which combines into an image. The spectral imager differentiates between different wavelengths in the different wavelengths in the image, and due to the amount of different wavelengths, different shades of color inside the image, it can detect the material that we are seeing. Let's say that the autonomous car see water in the middle of the road, it might be oil. Regular camera cannot differentiate between water and oil. With our technology, you can easily differentiate between both.
Wow, that's really impressive. So how is this technology different than what's on the market already? Obviously, it sounds very new.
Right. So actually, this technology is very old. It exists for over 100 years, but until now, the hyperspectral imaging cameras were very expensive and very big. You can buy a spectral camera today for tens of thousands of dollars. Wow. It exists in labs, in hospitals. We are leading the transition into a compact camera, hyperspectral compact camera, which means that our sensor will cost our product, our component that we are developing, will cost less than $1 to produce. And you will be able to buy a spectral camera on the market, on everywhere around the world, and it will also exist inside the cellular phone, which everyone has today.
Definitely. This sounds like an incredible idea. How did you come up with it?
I was an EIR, which means entrepreneur in residence, in JVP, which is an Israeli VC. I was studying the field of hyperspectral imaging, and I wanted to initiate a company. 1 month before the VC wanted to raise the funds and invest in my company, I found a researcher in Tel Aviv University. His name is Professor David Mendelovich, and he was studying the same field and had an IP in the same field. And his student, Ariel Raz, was his PhD student. He was also developing a spectral imaging camera. We joined forces, we founded the company. David is our board member. Ariel Raz is my VP R&D. I became the CEO. We raised funds from Samsung, which is a leader in the cell phone industry, from Bosch, which is a leader in the automotive industry, and from Tel Aviv University, and of course from JVP, which led the investment series. And now we are a new company, and we hope that we will be famous one day.
It sounds like you will be. Now, is this research and technology, is it finished now, or you're still working on it?
So the research is done. We have an IP, which means that we wrote patents that will defend our technology, will enable us to develop the technology. And now we are in the middle of development. We have a prototype, a working prototype, that we can display in the lab. We're going to have 2 major components ready. The first one will be in 2017. It will be a small camera which will not be inside the cell phone, but it might be in a car or for an end user, a customer which will use it at home. And in 2018, we plan to be inside the new generation cell phone.
Fantastic. And final question. This sounds incredibly futuristic. This sounds like something like you would read in a book about the future. Where do you see this going? What is one of the coolest things that you think it can do?
Well, this technology will enable us to have better lives and it will enable us to have longer life. The reason for that is that we will have better water. We'll be able to check the water purity, the food quality, the air pollution. It has also a health application. We will be able to scan our skin, to see our blood pressure, to see problems that are inside our body. So we'll have an earlier notice to go to see a doctor. So I'm happy that I found something that is very challenging technology-wise, but it can also help human lives. So it's very exciting for me, and I hope to see this technology all over the world. You will be able, through Google, to see the air pollution in your street, and maybe to see where you can eat a salad without peanuts, because everyone has it, and you know if there are peanuts in the salad or not. So I hope to see it everywhere.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I'm so
Thank you
excited
for
to see where
inviting
this
me.
goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It might sound like science fiction, but an Israeli startup says it's developed face recognition software that can identify personality types and even distinguish if someone is a terrorist, a pedophile, or even a great poker player. Faceception says it recently signed a contract with a Homeland Security agency to use their software to help identify terrorists. It might sound like science fiction, but the company says the software is really successful, and they claim they even successfully identified 9 of the terrorists that were involved in the Paris terror attacks last November. So how does it work? The company says a person's face reflects their DNA, and their software uses 15 classifiers that display certain traits or personality types. Faceception says it then uses the classifiers to analyze facial images and identify individuals with certain traits with a very high level of accuracy. The software sounds too good to be true, and some experts are already saying they're skeptical that it could work. Professors from Princeton and Washington University have claimed that there's not enough evidence to show that the software is accurate, and that the technology could raise a lot of ethical questions. Faceception executive Shai Gilboa says that while the technology isn't perfect, he thinks governments could use it along with other sources to better identify terrorists. Tourism is a major industry in Israel, and for a good reason. There are countless historical sites to visit in the Holy Land, but it can be difficult to see them all. But don't worry, Israeli innovation has already come up with a solution. This week I headed over to the Mini Israel Park, and it's safe to say the small country just got a lot smaller. Let's check it out. We're here at the Mini Israel Park, which is basically a scaled-down version of all of Israel. The best part, guests can visit all the major sites in the Holy Land in a matter of hours. Israel is a very small state that's roughly the size of New Jersey. But thousands of years of history mean there are a lot of special sites to visit in the Holy Land, and it can be difficult to see them all. But there is a solution. Visitors who want to see it all can head to Mini Israel, which has scaled down replicas of Israel's most famous attractions.
Well, Mini Israel is a miniature park. It has 385 miniatures. It's the biggest miniature park in the world.
Tourists love to come check out the park and get a broad overview of the country, and even see some of the major sites they would have seen in person. But the park attracts more than just tourists. Students from all over Israel come to visit for a mini tour of their country, and the displays are so thorough that they often end up learning something they didn't know about their state.
But people also learn about a lot of places, and even people who live here all their lives, they come here and they say, I didn't know this church is over there. I didn't know we have this building in Tel Aviv. So it's also nice to see how beautiful our country is and then go to the real places.
The mini replicas are scaled down to be 25 times smaller than the real-life object, but they can still be pretty big and detailed. The park also includes signs about each attraction, giving visitors some quick facts about each location, including some facts they might not know.
We picked 100 models that we have next to the model in Hebrew and in English, explanation of the model and cool facts that you don't know about.
The most popular sections are usually the ones with monuments that visitors can easily recognize, like the Dome of the Rock, the Wailing Wall, and the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. By showing some of the major monuments from all 3 major religions that are found in Israel, the park really gives visitors a taste of the country's flavor.
And it has here all the 3 religions that we have here in Israel, the most important and known places through history. And we invite people to come here and see all of Israel in small.
Besides the religious sites, the park also shows off modern-day Israel, including business centers like the Azrieli Towers in Tel Aviv. Visitors can even sneak a peek at miniature cars driving along the freeway near Tel Aviv, and little planes arriving in Ben Gurion Airport.
Some of the models are the miniatures. They are static, but some move, some has noises, some splash water on you. So kids have a lot of fun. They see everything in their height.
Despite Mini Israel's history of success, the park has continued to innovate and grow. They just built an amphitheater for live music performances, along with an event hall where people come to celebrate bar mitzvahs, weddings, business dinners, and more.
Been here in event hall, business and private. We do your bar mitzvahs, weddings, and the view of all of Israel is something that is very unique.
So for those of you who are looking to see all of Israel in a day or learn a few new facts about the Holy Land, Mini Israel is the perfect place to see it all. This is Denise Wood for ILTV. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Today's word is panim, which means face in Hebrew. The word panim is used to talk about a person's physical face, but to make things more confusing, there's actually another word for face in Hebrew, which is partzuf. If you're talking about someone's facial expression, you can say hu oseh partzufim, which means he's making faces. But if you're talking about someone's actual face, you should probably say panim. If you're trying to say someone has a beautiful face, you can say yesh lach panim yafot. And of course, you can also use the word panim in Hebrew slang. If something's really terrible, you can say ze haya ala panim, which literally means it was on the face. We honestly have no idea why Israelis say this to mean terrible, but they do. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Today it's 76 and sunny in Tel Aviv, and tomorrow it should be even warmer with a high of 84 degrees. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.86 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. And don't forget to check out our evening update every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching and see you tonight.